Hello, and welcome to Overthinking Eurovision. I'm Matt Rather. Estonia has made Eurovision history twice. In 2001, it became the first former Soviet country to win the contest with the song Everybody. This is my second favorite Eurovision song with Everybody in the title. So Estonia got to host the show in 2002, and it was a nice boost to the country's ongoing efforts to join the European Union. The theme was the modern fairy tale, and they were not modest about who the hero of that fairy tale was supposed to be. The show's official program said, "If Estonia were a fairy tale, it could perhaps be likened to Sleeping Beauty. Having awoken from the ice-cold slumbers of Soviet rule, Estonia today is a bold, young country, vibrant with creative energy, and eager to take its place in Europe." The video postcards that introduced each act were riffs on classic fairy tales. For instance, in this version of Snow White, the evil queen sits down at the Matrix-esque terminal to ask, "Who's the fairest of them all?" And she gets served a montage of hot Estonian babes. Then she storms away from the computer to unpack crate after crate of apples, implying that she is going to murder every woman in Estonia. And are you ready for the best part? The story about an evil queen was used to introduce a group of actual drag queens who were representing Slovenia that year. They did warn us that they were vibrant with creative energy. But Estonia's most lasting contribution to Eurovision came in 2011. Their song that year, Rockefeller Street, finished in a disappointing 24th place. But 5 months later, this happened. That Nightcore remix is closing in on 90 million views, which is more than almost any video on the official Eurovision YouTube page. In 2019, Jimmy Fallon and Priyanka Chopra Jonas did a Rockefeller Street dance on The Tonight Show. And now the kids on TikTok have gotten a hold of it. And I'm pretty sure Rockefeller Street will outlive us all. Apparently, if you make something 20% faster, it gets 10 times as many views. Wait a second, that gives me a great idea.
Go ahead and hit the link, and let's make this remix go viral.
Take that, algorithm. Okay, what has Estonia been up to lately? In 2021, it didn't qualify for the finals. In 2022, Stefan gave the country hope by coming in 13th. In 2023, Alika built bridges to take the country all the way to the top 10. But what can Estonia do to finish even higher? Maybe the answer is be more Estonian.
Show the viewers your country's ethnic background by using an old traditional folklore instrument that no one's heard of before.
My man Mons is right. A proven formula for Eurovision success is to create something modern and danceable, but with a little ethnic flair. For some bands, that's their whole thing. Gota, this year's entry from Norway, combines metal with 19th century folk traditions. Go A from Ukraine is an electronic band whose lead singer actually has a college degree in folklore. For her thesis, did she have to tell terrifying bedtime stories to all of the children in the land? But sometimes, songwriters looking for Eurovision glory will pair up a folk artist and a pop artist, sort of like the chief of police forcing two prickly cops to work together. I'm sure Alex Florea would have loved to represent Romania on his own.
I work alone. I don't want no partner, I don't need no partner, and I ain't gonna never have no partner.
Listen, Alex, the mayor is so far up my butt, I'm canceling my colonoscopy. You gotta take the rookie along with you on this case. And if you give me any guff, I'll have you writing traffic tickets in Transylvania the rest of your career.
Congratulations, Carter. Looks like you finally got yourself a partner.
The YouTube page for Yodel It notes, when you mix pop and rock with yodels, you get the perfect song for Eurovision. We were skeptical at the time, but Yodel It actually made it to 7th place in the grand final.
You two are loose cannons who don't follow the rules. But goddamn if you don't get the job done. All right, you ready for your next case? Oh my God, Alex, you're fired. Hand in your badge right now. Ugh, somebody get HR on the phone.
And these one-off odd couples happen all the time. In 2022, France brought together Alvan and Arhez for a very cool song in the Breton language. But guys, this is the kind of music that Alvan usually makes. The These Eurovision acts are like fun vacation hookups. Yes, it can be exciting to leave your comfort zone and hang out with someone who is so not your usual type, but ultimately these artists don't have a lot in common. Lozano doesn't really want Esma liking all his Instagram stories. Awkward. At first glance, that's the kind of act Estonia is sending in 2024. You have a folk group that's not mainstream enough to make it to Eurovision on their own. You have a rap group that's not ethnic enough to make it to Eurovision on their own. They need each other, but it's hard to imagine them exchanging animated GIFs in a WhatsApp group together. But the more you learn about them, the more these two groups seem like musical BFFs. Maybe even actual BFFs.
Me eelkõige teeme muusikat koos sellepärast, et meile meeldib koos aega veeta.
So let's get started with Viis Miinust. Much like the fictional group Girls 5 Eva, there are currently only 4 members of Viis Miinust, despite their name. Their names are, and I beg in advance the forgiveness of Estonians everywhere, Mihkel Pavakuer Tam, Karl Pohja-Korea Kivastik, Priit Lancelot Thomsen, and Christian Estoni-Kover Jakobsen. The group has declined to explain the meaning behind the nicknames, but Estoni-Kover means Eston's briefcase, which is a pun referring to Eston Kover. Eston was working for the Estonian equivalent of the CIA in 2014 when he was captured by Russian agents using a smoke grenade and radio jammers. A year later, the Estonians got him back from the Russians in a prisoner exchange. This whole Wikipedia page would make an excellent Call of Duty Black Ops mission. The group used to have a 5th member, Pavel the Russian Botsarov, but in 2023, he left to start a solo career under the name Game Boy Tetris. And I gotta say, this is a very difficult stage name to Google without getting a lot of false positives. Perhaps it was fate that he broke off, though. If the group still had 5 members, then there would be one too many of them to perform at Eurovision alongside Pulup. Viis Miinust picked up the mic in 2015 and released albums in 2016 and 2017. But it wasn't until 2018 that they caught fire. Check out this chart of the top Estonian songs from February 2018. Viis Miinust had 10 songs in the top 30. How did Viis Miinust do it? Apparently, these guys are social media virtuosos. They even have their own brand, Rammar, which is sort of a catchphrase for the band the way that Shche was a catchphrase for Let 3. It's a word that Korea made up when he was yelling at the other band members to clean up their mess.
Ja siis sealt see nagu jäi külge, et rämmar on selline tore suupärane sõna, et ta võib tähendada nii igasugu asju.
You can buy Rammar t-shirts. And even a Rammar-themed board game. Here's a video of the group playing it themselves. And we thought, hey, that's pretty unusual for a band to have its own board game, right? It turns out, no. A ton of bands have board games. In fact, the Decemberists actually helped design a board game that raised over $400,000 on Kickstarter. But you know what I bet the Decemberists don't have? Their own brand of nicotine pouches, which is apparently a thing in the Baltics. So for more than 5 years now, Viis Miinust has been Estonia's hottest rap group. But wait a minute. Are they a rap group?
You're a rap band, as I understand, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of.
We do not actually produce rap music or hip-hop music. We produce the music you put on from YouTube on a house party.
So Viis Miinust doesn't want to be boxed into a specific genre. They just want to make party music. And we find that interesting, because you know what other group really doesn't like labels and loves to have fun? Pulup consists of Ramo Teder with the long hair and Marko Veson with the no hair. They like to describe their music as zombie folk, which makes it sound like they are singing about decapitating the walking dead with a spade. What they actually mean is that their instrument, the talharpa, was almost extinct before they almost single-handedly repopularized it. But just because Marco and Ramo play native instruments doesn't mean they play folk music.
It's our own music, and the influences come from all the everywhere, yeah. Even from hip hop or some
classical music, maybe some punk, some folk, some jazz, some reggae, some
definitely some reggae.
Yeah.
The pu part of their name comes from the Estonian word for wood, referring to the talharpa. But the loop part of their name comes from the looper they use in their live performances. So So there's actually not much that's traditional about this band except the instruments, which is a little ironic because Marco is actually an anthropologist. No, seriously, you can still find his CV online. From 2005 to 2012, he taught at the University of Tartu, and for a while his job title was Lecturer Extraordinarius, which sounds like the coolest job ever, but Wikipedia tells me it's less good than if your title is Ordinarius. Apparently, if you go from Extraordinarius to Ordinarius, it's actually a promotion. Anyway, Marco's doctoral thesis is on the legitimacy of widowhood rights in the Gurunzi communities of northeastern Ghana, but he's been working on it since 2006. Hey Marco, you ever considered changing topics? There has to be something related to anthropology that you actually know a great deal about. Both groups are very popular in Estonia, but what do they have in common? At first glance, it seems to be mainly a keen interest in cross-country skiing. Pulup actually called their 2021 album The Last Cross-Country Skier. And in 2019, Vis Minust had a #1 hit with Paristokid, which is all about skiing. But truthfully, it's possible that skiing is just one of the few things to do in Estonia, and all musicians there write about it.
Next song is called Pink Skis.
Pink cross-country skis. Yes.
One thing Vis Minust and Pulup have in common is a playful, self-mocking attitude. At times, Vis Minust seems like a comedy group as much as a musical one. In case you're curious what's going on here, and we certainly were, the band members are all dressing as Estonian pop star Liis Lemsalu for Halloween. That's her making a cameo. And every single review of a Pulup show mentions how funny they are. Who knew cross-country skiing was so inherently hilarious? If there was a prize for the patter of the weekend, they would get the gold. But I think what really brings these two groups together is a desire to create a party atmosphere in front of a live crowd.
Tomorrow we're going to perform at a stage which is mostly for dancing and quite loud, and 11 p.m. people are already in a party mode.
Kui sa saad mikri maha panna enda osa ajal ja sulle laulavad need 100 inimesed, see ongi see kõige otsesem võib-olla siis tagasiside, mis sa saad.
So how did these groups hook up? It seems like they had been fans of each other's work for a while.
Ei no, ma ei tea, hip-hop on mulle alati meeldinud, et ma ei ole nagu mingi väga ekspert, aga Eesti hip-hopi skeenet ma olen ikkagi nagu, ma arvan, et 90-ndatest aastatest ikkagi nagu kergelt jälginud, et
tasub mainida, et Marko on üks Eesti parimaid räpparid kindlasti.
Oho.
100%. Top 5 sees kindlasti.
In January 2022, both groups were at the Estonian Music Awards. Pulup won the Ensemble of the Year award. Vis Minust won Artist of the Year, which is the one award determined by public voting. Vis Minust actually beat Liis Lemsalu in that category, which probably resulted in her making this face. Again. Also at the ceremony, Pulup performed their song TV on the Street. Kolver watched from the crowd and instantly decided he wanted to work with these guys, which is interesting because while Pulup does have a bunch of danceable songs, this isn't one of them. TV on the street. I am TV on the street. The two groups finally had a good excuse to get together exactly 1 year later when Vis Minust hosted the next Estonian Music Awards in January 2023. The group kicked off the show with a big performance and shared the stage with Pulup for the first time. By the way, the big winner at the 2023 award show was Stefan. He only managed 13th place at Eurovision the year before, but he picked up awards for Pop Artist of the Year, Male Artist of the Year, Artist of the Year, and Song of the Year. So remember everyone, even if you just barely finish on the left side of the scoreboard, there's still hope. But that was only the beginning for the Vis Minust Pulup partnership. They did a joint concert in March that they called Heaven and Hell, and another joint concert in May. And when it was over, everyone got sad they didn't have a reason to hang out anymore.
Kurb on. Kas me nüüd ei saagi enam koos aega võtta ja siis me mõtlesime, et me võiks ikkagi koos aega võtta, et võtame pillid ka ja mikrofonid.
As it turns out, the song Vis Minust and Pulup performed at Eesti Laul 2024 is only the first track of an entire album that will be out later this spring. Here's another taste. So this is not some awkward team-up just for Eurovision. This is six minds united around a common theme. And that theme is apparently, we have no idea whose drugs those are. The title, Nendest narkotikumidest eteme kul midagi, means we really know nothing about these drugs. In case you're wondering, this title is 40 characters long, not counting spaces and parentheses. That smashes the previous record of 30 characters held by the Social Network song, Oh, 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 Oh. Why am I telling you this? Because I will never pass up a chance to play a clip from San Marino's masterpiece from 2012. I love that the album art for this is just Valentina thinking about the title of the song. Lyrically, the song is mostly about band members loudly telling us that they haven't done any drugs and they don't even know what drugs are, and how dare you imply otherwise. The theme of trying to catch someone with drugs is an old one in hip-hop, most memorably explored in Chameleonaire's 2005 classic, Ridin'. It really bothers me that this song is called just Ridin' and not Ridin' Dirty. Now, of course, in real life, we have evidence that the band members actually do know at least a little bit about drugs.
Okay, what is the main message? What is your music about?
Be responsible while doing drugs, but still do them.
Pulup, on the other hand, is probably being honest when they say they don't know anything about drugs.
We have officially defined our hopes and dreams to continue living the lifestyle of rock and roll with the help of our ancient talharpa, but without drugs.
But without drugs.
But putting aside what we know of the real band members, are we supposed to think the characters in the song are completely innocent victims of harassment, or are they incredibly guilty? The second line of the song feels like a clue to us. This is actually the second recent Viis Minus song that references finding clothes in the garbage. In the 2023 song Korvitab, they say, but that was in the context of being caught in the rain and having to improvise. In Nendest, all of them are dressed from the trash. And not only that, kledid specifically means dresses, which is unexpected for an all-male band, right? I think what they mean is that they're wearing garbage bags like dresses, and they're saying it to point out how poor they are. That's a recurring theme in the song. They're too poor to even afford drugs. But if they're so poor they're wearing garbage bags, then how are they affording this summer cottage? That's the word they use, suvila. So ask yourself, is there a reason why a bunch of guys in an isolated area would want to wear disposable or protective clothing?
You can't go home smelling like a meth lab.
Yeah, you can. I do.
Personally, we think this song is about being caught red-handed in a meth lab and trying to pull what we in America call a shaggy. Later in the song, there's a lyric that could refer to drug couriers coming to take whatever they're cooking up. The most important lyric might come towards the end. So something has been going on around the singer, but he's telling the cops he didn't see it. And those parentheses in the title are kind of a giveaway. We know nothing about these drugs. By the way, we are zooming in on the right word here. The sentence structure is reversed in Estonian. Hey, you want to know something else these guys don't know about? Eurovision's strict policy about referencing commercial products. The EBU nixed the green lays, and the line had to be changed to, the only bag on the table is full of deposit bottles. You know who could have warned them about this rule? Now, as you might expect from a song featuring at least one of Estonia's top 5 rappers, there are a bunch of clever cultural references that only an Estonian would get. For instance, in the official Eurovision.tv translation, the third line of the song is, TV show cops and a police raid in the cottage. We thought it was weird that they capitalized cops like that, but the translator is trying to reference the American TV show Cops, which is indeed spelled in all caps. The actual Estonian lyric references Politseikronika, which is a show a lot like Cops that has produced countless memes for the country's millennials and Zoomers.
Siin ta on, palju kiidetud Eesti Nokia. Vaimu vaesus ja karju viletsus.
Et ise soovitas mul seda teha, haamriga pähe lüüa.
Maybe the song's most mysterious lyric is, ducklings are so small, but poppies are so tall. This is a reference to an Estonian song called Pardike ja moniois from 1980, which is based on an Italian song called Papavere e Papere from 1952.
Sei nata paperina, che cosa ci vuoi fare?
The title means poppies and ducks, and it's a political allegory in which the poppies are the rich and powerful and the ducks are the common rabble. So basically, this lyric is just another way of saying vis minusta are too poor to have anything to do with drugs. What makes it great wordplay is that the poppy is, of course, what you make heroin from. So it's a double metaphor. The rich are poppies because of the old song, but they're also poppies because they can afford drugs. So despite how it may appear, Nendest is very different from a song like Ulveham, which draws on folk for its subject matter and musical inspiration. What we have here is a totally modern song that just happens to use some traditional instruments. There's no actual folk here. Or is there? This particular dance has been a Pulup specialty for a while now. They actually referred to it as the Veson, which is Marco's last name. Here's the man himself doing it in 2019. As it turns out, this is actually a folk dance from the island of Vormsi in western Estonia. It has a population of only a few hundred people now, including Marco's father. But thanks to this song, millions of Eurovision fans are about to post drunken videos of themselves doing this dance to TikTok. And that's honestly pretty awesome. Hey Marco, I guess your training in anthropology paid off. Estonian public broadcasting had someone look into the history of this dance, and he reported that it might go all the way back to Viking times. What Vis Minust and Pulup do is very appreciated, because they bring out things from history that would otherwise never reach us. Modernizing old culture is a way of moving culture forward. In the most recent Eurovision odds, Estonia has only a 1% chance of winning. But consider for a moment the final pre-show odds from Eurovision 2022. You know who had a 1% chance of winning then? Moldova. And you know what happened in Turin? Moldova finished second in the televoting, behind only Ukraine. And we were shocked then, but we won't be shocked now if Estonia pulls off something similar. Eurovision calls itself a song contest, but maybe it's more accurate to call Eurovision a party that just happens to have a trophy at the end. And both these bands are party specialists. The reason they don't need drugs is because performing live in front of a crowd is their drug. So when it comes to televotes, do not underestimate the Vis Minust Pulup bromance. We'll see you next time. If Windows 95 Man had a board game, would it have no rules?